We got to air it out. Let's air it out. So we got to air it out. Let's air it out. So
how do you say that? Air it out? Air it out?
Air it out. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Air It Out podcast. My name is Avery, and I am joined on this amazing show by a panel of phenomenal analysts and just football fanatics. I'm going to start and introduce the guy to my right, maybe your left, the one and only. Say what's up.
What's up? The one and only over here. First off, just a big shout out to Aaron Jones and Aaron Rodgers, both celebrating a very happy birthday here today in the great state of Wisconsin. And also just a quick major shout out to the Bucks as we take on the Raptors later tonight, riding an 8-game winning streak. So far, we're going to take the Bulls in the Central Division, and we're going to own this Eastern Conference. That is all.
8-game win streak? Who was your last loss against?
You know that I can't remember. I don't remember the
I
loss.
think it was probably those boys down in Miami.
Guess what? On Saturday, I'm going to go see your boys in Miami in Pfizer Forum this Saturday. And I'm going to take pictures, and I'm going to boo as soon as I see Jimmy Butler.
Hey, look, y'all can go ahead and take the W. Jimmy Butler probably not gonna play. Bam Adebayo's out with surgery, so it's okay. We'll take the L here if that happens. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, shout out to the rest of the panelists. Darius, what is up? Say what's up to the people.
Yo, what's going on? It's a team out there in the NBA that has a better winning streak than those Milwaukee Bucks who have not lost in November. I'm not a fan of them, but them boys are playing some really good basketball. Special shout out to the Phoenix Suns, CP3. Them boys are playing really good basketball. I know we're a football podcast, but when you get a win streak like that, it's very, very hard to ignore. So shout out to them boys out in Phoenix in the Valley.
They are balling. I can't lie. They put a hurting up on the Warriors. Steph Curry looked like a rookie going against that team. I mean, he was off. And they play again tomorrow. Oh, I can't wait to see the bounce. Is there going to be a Steph Curry bounce back, or is he going to get locked up again? That's going to be very interesting to see. Speaking of defense, somebody who knows all about defense, he coached linebackers for his team. Coach Braxton, say what is up.
What up, people? Just to clarify, D-line. I'm all about them sacks. I'm all about those sacks, man.
Okay.
But going off of that, we not going to disrespect Curry like he just wasn't tearing up everything. If we going to talk basketball, what?
What is a Nugget Nation? That sounds Nugget Nation.
Get him out of here.
Never have
That doesn't even sound right.
It sounds like a kiddie space at McDonald's. Nugget Nation. Like, what are you talking about?
Would you like some barbecue for your nuggets?
It's a kiddie space at McDonald's, man. Come on.
Listen here. You see this? Warriors. Well.
Oh, stop it.
Just
say you're a Steph Curry fan if you're a Steph Curry fan.
I am. Okay? For sure. Definitely a Steph Curry fan.
It's my MVP.
Who wouldn't be? Come on, man. Come on, man. Steph Curry fan all day. I'm a Sixers. I love the Sixers, but Steph Curry, boy. Tell me somebody.
Okay, I can accept that. I'm okay with that.
Name and shoot.
Not mad at it. Listen, it is what it is. That's enough about basketball. We're talking about football on the Air It Out podcast, and it seems like Coach Braxton is just in the marriage moment. You know, he's like, hey, he's getting married himself. His fandom is married to Steph Curry, not really to the Sixers. You know, I guess.
Not this year. It looked bad. It looked bad.
Hey, listen, whatever it is. And speaking of marriages, I gotta ask you guys: is the Russell Wilson, Pete Carroll marriage over?
Did we introduce Darius? I don't know if we did that.
Oh, we did.
No, we did.
Oh, we
We
did.
did?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I kind of blanked for a second. I had like 5 hours of sleep in the past 2 days. So
It happens.
Basically he's saying you're forgetful, Darius. That's
I know
terrible.
it's okay.
But anyway, listen.
I can never forget my hatred for a Patriots fan, man.
Listen, guys. So we all saw the game. And the Seahawks, they looked absolutely horrid, absolutely terrible. I mean, and I'm including Russell Wilson in that. I mean, we're talking about a primetime game, and we know that in primetime, Russell Wilson is one of the greatest quarterbacks ever. Literally, his record proves it, that in primetime, Russell seems to come alive. The offensive line is absolutely horrible. The defense can't cover anybody. What is going on with Go Blue? Shout out to the Michigan Wolverines
That was a
for
good
stomping
game.
on Ohio State. That's what I'm talking about. I was
y'all not beating Iowa.
was
Y'all not
hating.
beating Iowa.
Boy, if you don't get out of here, stop it.
No.
Stop.
No, see,
Stop.
I got
Listen,
my executive producer is an Iowa alum, so I have to take her by default.
Man, everybody get out of here now. Listen. All right. So anyway, back to the NFL. Yeah, this is the Seahawks look terrible. They don't look good. Pete Carroll seems to look and seem, act as if he's outdated. I mean, he is, one of the, if not the oldest, I believe he's the oldest coach. Going to have to drug test him in the league, and he looks like he doesn't really have a hold on this team or his locker room. Russell Wilson clearly seems frustrated. I need to know, Darren, is this the end of the Russell Wilson Pete Carroll marriage?
So I had to actually think about this one when we talked about it earlier. But my main thing is this: how does the defense look? Is the defense the same defense that we know and love from the Pete Carroll era, or is it something different? This year has been a little bit better, but the last couple of years, they've been down, and not just down, but they had a streak of almost 4 or 5 years in the top 10. After Errol Thomas left, 2019, 22nd in points, 26th in yards. 2020, 15th in points, 22nd in yards. And this is after they bounced back from having one of the worst starts in NFL history on defense. Listen, I think maybe next year. I think it might happen next year.
Okay.
I think they will stick with Russell before they stick with Carroll. And it's very, very sad to believe that. I don't wish it happens, but if it was, I wouldn't be too surprised. A little fishy there. But I could definitely see it happen, man.
Okay, we got Jerome, who thinks that Pete Carroll may go to Notre Dame. So with that being said, I'm gonna pass this to Juan. If you're Pete Carroll, do you take the call? Do you go to Notre Dame? I mean, we know that they're thinking of Marcus. I can't remember his name, but the defensive coordinator right now, and he's emerged as the front runner for the head coaching job at Notre Dame. But if you're Pete Carroll and you get the call, I mean, do you decide to take that, seeing as how the Seahawks, they just can't seem to get back to what they used to be? What we thought would be a perennial Super Bowl and playoff team, and do you go ahead and take that leap back down to college, or how do you see this playing out?
So let me start off by saying that this conversation has been a long time coming for the Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll marriage. Since Wilson signed that record-breaking contract extension back in 2019, it's just been a tumultuous relationship between Wilson, Carroll, and the organization as a whole. Trade rumors to the Giants were always flirting around in 2020. Sia wanting to move out of Seattle because she doesn't feel like it's a big enough market for her. Russell feeling that he doesn't have enough of a say on the offense, and Carroll trying to push back to a run-first defensive forward style of team that doesn't fit the type of team that they are right now. Like it seems like both the player and the coach want to go in two totally different directions with how they want to run a team, and there's no agreement into where it's going to go. Not to mention the fact that in the last 3 years or so, the Seahawks as an offense has regressed tremendously, especially in the passing game. In 2019, they were eighth passing overall. In 2020, 17th, and now in 2021, they're the 31st passing offense in the NFL. And that's with Mr. Unlimited coming in and playing 3 games and missing 3 games.
31st.
Yeah, 31st. That they're that bad. And let me put it this way: Pete Carroll's a great college coach. We saw his work over in USC, what he was able to pull off. Granted, he did have Matt Leinart and Reggie Bush to push him through all the way through. However, if we're looking at his pro football record with and without Russell Wilson, with Mr. Unlimited, he's 100 wins, 51 losses, and 1 tie. Without him, 48 and 51. And that's including that's right before and that's including his 2 years of Seahawks ball without Russell Wilson. The fact of the matter is Pete Carroll is a rah style, good kind of personality for college football. The man knows how to recruit. The man knows how to sweet talk. The man knows how to buy young minds into a program. It doesn't work in the NFL like that anymore. All right. These are grown men you're dealing with now. Russell bought into it for the longest time because, for one, he still had that underdog third-round quarterback mentality and had not been given the respect that he deserved as one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL at the time. Now he's one of the highest paid. Now he's probably a borderline Hall of Famer, and now he's looking to make a big splash and to have his own say in the NFL, something Carroll just hasn't been able to give him. All right, we saw it with Richard Sherman. We saw it with Earl Thomas. They all bought out of the Pete Carroll program, and to say that he'll take the Notre Dame job, I'd sooner see Urban Meyer go to Notre Dame than I would Pete Carroll. I think that he'll probably go back to the college ranks, but not to Notre Dame.
Man, it'll be interesting to see for sure. I mean, I'm not exactly sure how this is going to play out. Now, I want to give some context. Obviously, Russell Wilson missed a couple weeks with a fractured finger. He had to have surgery on that finger. So let's also keep that in context. And so we have seen Russell kind of regress in that regard since he's been back. Maybe the finger is having more of an issue or playing more of a factor than we actually than we actually know in that regard. So it's a it's a possibility. But yeah, Wilson does. I don't think this year, but I mean, he could definitely still be that kind of player. Darius, my question to you: who goes first? Does Russell leave, or does Pete Carroll get fired? Do you think that the Seahawks say, "Hey, listen, it's time for you to go ahead and step down," or do you think Russell says before that even happens, "Hey, listen, I've had enough. It's time for me to go somewhere else and try to get back to his winning ways"?
A guy coming from a quarterback head coach Mavericks that lasted 20 plus years. I know how these things play out. The quarterback ultimately is going to. Russell wants out. It's plain and simple. And I think I said it in the chat. Their marriage ended in the Super Bowl when he decided he wanted to throw out the 1 yard line, make Russell this hero instead of giving Marshawn Lynch the ball and winning the Super Bowl, and then Russ possibly could have won Super Bowl MVP. I think Russ is going to leave. When quarterbacks in this league with the media and everything, once you hear a quarterback name of Russ stature and trade rumors, it's only a matter of time before that quarterback is traded, right? And I think the reason why Russ wasn't traded just yet is because the Seahawks didn't get an offer that blew them away, right? When I say blow them away, you look at a team like the Rams, right? The Rams are probably the most aggressive team in the NFL when it comes down to just giving teams first round picks. And they've done it with Jalen Ramsey. They've done it with Matthew Stafford. And I think when you got a quarterback like Russ, you have to have the draft capital and you have to have the cap space. And obviously you want to have weapons for him, right? Like you want him to come in a situation where kind of like Tom Brady in free agency, where all you had to do, all the Buccaneers needed was a quarterback. And look what happened. They won the Super Bowl. So if I'm Russ, I'm, kind of, if he has a say in his trade, pick a team that all you have to do, plug me in, I go out there every day. I know what I bring to the table, and I can possibly win this team a Super Bowl, and I have a say. And I think that's probably the biggest thing. If the Seahawks say, hey, Russ, we'll give you a say on who you want to bring in, he may stay. But I think that's one of the biggest reasons why he doesn't want to leave. He's a quarterback. He's a franchise guy. He should be in. He should be in those meetings. He should be in those meeting rooms with those execs saying, "Hey, we should bring in this guy," or who he should drive. I think Joe Burrow had a hand in saying bringing in Jamar Chase. I think Joe Burrow had some type of influence in being in that, and I think that's what Russ wants, especially because you're paying a guy almost $38 million or $40 million a year. Come on, you don't pay that guy just to say, hey, go out there and throw a football. He wants to be important. And you look at the teams that have the capital, have the cap space. First team that comes to mind, Philadelphia Eagles, right? 3 first-round picks. They're going to have the cap space. Eagles aren't a bad team, right? And then you bring them in, you fix that defense. They got a young wide receiver core. Miami, a team that, honestly, I wouldn't see. I could see Miami just saying, hey, here's our first-round picks. If the Rams didn't trade for Matthew Stafford, and the Seahawks were willing to do that deal, I know it wouldn't happen because of this division, but let's say if they would, the Rams would be the first team to do it, honestly, just because, again, they don't really care about their picks. So I think it's going to be Russ, and I think it's going to be a rebuild, and I think the rebuild needs to start this offseason because the Seahawks' chances to make the playoffs are very slim on how the NFC playoff picture looks. So I think you get rid of Russ and you just start the rebuild now before it's too late and before teams won't give you that first-round pick.
Listen, I understand, but I think I'm gonna lean to agree with Jerome here. I believe it's about the offensive line more than it's about anything, right? I think that's the biggest issue that we've seen with that team is the fact that they can't protect Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is running for his life. Since he's come into the league, he's one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the NFL. Now, granted, some people say that it could be because he tries to extend plays too many times, or because he holds the ball too long. And let me be clear, all the blame should not go on the offensive line. He should take some responsibility as well as the coaches and offensive coordinator and different things like that. However, him being one of the most sacked quarterbacks is definitely an issue, and I think that they definitely need to address the offensive line more than they need to address anything. I don't think the Eagles should get Russ, despite what they think about Hurts. I can agree with that as well, and again, for those reasons, right? And it's not a slight to anybody, but the Eagles' offensive line, they're hurt. It's like a rotating door, revolving door there as well. So there's an issue with that. I think you still need to see what you can get out of Jalen Hurts. Now, if you can get Russell Wilson, if you can bring him in, obviously go for it. He's still a young quarterback in his prime. He's still doing amazing things. But I think, again, with what is going on in Seattle with the offensive line, you're not necessarily getting that much better if he goes to somewhere like Philly. I think a team, some other teams that potentially could be in the running, like you said, Miami, if they're not sold on Tua. However, if you actually look at the numbers when it comes to Tua, he's actually progressively getting better. So I think that the Dolphins may want to stick around and hold on to him. So I think a team like that. I think a team like Chicago, if they're not seeing enough from Justin Fields, there were rumors last offseason prior to the draft whether or not Russell would actually get traded to Chicago. So I think Chicago could still be in the running there. And then last but not least, if you're not sold on this guy, granted he has done nothing but win and be a constant professional and do everything right. If you're not sold on Teddy Bridgewater, I can see the Broncos going after somebody like Russell Wilson as well. So it'll be very interesting to see. Darius, you had something in Darren.
Just quick thing, like with the Eagles, I know they probably won't because obviously when they see what hurts. But as far as capital, they have it. They have the cap space. They have the draft picks to make that move. And then the Denver Broncos are a dark horse team. I could see John Elway possibly making that move, and he's coming into a situation where you're gonna have a top 10, top 5 defense. And Denver, you're gonna have weapons. The offensive line is a little shaky, but you can build around that through the draft. And then again, it just comes down with, is he going to have a say on who he gets to bring in and draft? So I think Denver, they're a dark horse team to make that trade, especially because they're in need of a quarterback.
I like it. Darren and then Juan.
So real quick, Broncos. I think that would be Russell's favorite choice because of everything that they have. But I don't think that's Seattle's favorite choice right now.
Oh, for sure.
But I think for Seattle, the Eagles honestly would be the best place. They can swap quarterbacks, give up 2 first rounds this year and 1 next year. That would be their 3 for Russell. As well, the Eagles still have weapons on the offense. Yes, the offensive line is kind of a rotating door, but the strength of the offensive line, when healthy, is immediately better than the Seahawks offensive line. Healthy or not, we all can agree.
This is true.
And then that defense just has to get fixed.
This is true. See, that's where my issue is. I don't think the Eagles.
I don't think
it would not be smart for them to.
No. It would not be smart for them.
It would not be smart because they have to rebuild. The Eagles are not far from actually being a very, very, very scary team.
And last point, Jalen Hurts would be the Pete Carroll type of guy. Listen, Jerome, like I said, I don't want it to happen because it would be stupid.
Juan,
for the Seahawks, it makes a whole lot of sense.
Juan,
it would be amazing for them.
Well, number one, if you're just looking at that contract alone, I mean, his dead cap hit, Russell Wilson's dead cap hit for the Seahawks is around $58 million. His own cap hit personally is $35 million for this year alone. Going forward, it gets lower, but like the lowest it's going to get is $13 million. And while that's like relative chump change for a quarterback, especially one as elite as Russell, considering that he's 33 and already dealing with like a hand issue that might not heal towards the offseason. I mean, who knows at his age where it could go, is a pretty big risk to even move him in the first place. And then I'll add this. It's kind of like some semi-breaking news since we're talking about the Broncos so much. At least 4 different groups have met with the Broncos about possibly selling the team. And so far, there's 4 contenders 4 bankers that are trying to facilitate because there's just no agreement within the Bolin family on who's going to control the franchise or whether or not it should be sold. But it's going to be an interesting offseason to see what's going to happen with this franchise because it is a storied franchise. It is a valuable franchise. And I rest in peace, John Bolin, for what you were able to accomplish with this franchise and everything you did for it. But it's time to see it in new hands.
Yeah, it'll definitely be a very, very interesting season. It'll definitely be a very, very interesting offseason. With that being said, and like I said, if they are okay, all right, well, Jerome, you go ahead and do that, and you let me
buy
know
the Broncos and then trade.
I just want 2%.
Russell Wilson. Give him all the picks.
2%, Jerome. That's all I need. You know what I'm saying? But with that being said, another team that I think that Russell could potentially land on if it makes sense with picks and cap and all of those different things. And I honestly think this would actually be his most preferred destination would be the Carolina Panthers. I mean, their defense is already set. Their offensive line is good. You got Christian McCaffrey there. You got weapons. You got all types of things. And if you're not sold on Sam Darnold, which it doesn't look like they are just yet, I could see them actually going after somebody like Russell Wilson. Speaking of the Panthers and not Russell Wilson. Speaking of the Panthers and Christian McCaffrey, it brings us into our next topic. I need to know, guys, and this is a legitimate question at this point in his career and where the Panthers are. Should the Panthers trade CMC? Should they trade him? That is the question. I'm going to start with you, Juan, and I just got to know, should the Panthers trade Christian McCaffrey this offseason or maybe even before this season ends?
So, I read somewhere on Twitter that Christian McCaffrey is the poster boy of why you shouldn't pay running backs. Because, first off, he's only played 10 out of 26 games in the last 2 years, has just over 1,000 yards from scrimmage over that time, 8 touchdowns as a result, but still averaging 4.2 yards per carry and 9.1 per catch. So he's still a decent weapon when healthy. He just hasn't been available. Not to mention, he's making $16 million per year. as a running back. Honestly, I don't think I think actually. Sorry, let me get my thoughts together. Looking at the list of injuries that he has 2 ankle injuries, 1 glute strain, a hamstring injury, an AC joint sprain, and the fact that he's been able to come back from injuries so well, but he just keeps getting re-aggravating those injuries, or he just keeps getting hurt. It's hard to see how stable Christian McCaffrey as a commodity really is, So to answer the question, yes, I would trade Christian McCaffrey. How much could you get back for him is kind of the big question here, because looking at what the Panthers have just for 2022 alone, they only have their 1st round pick, a 5th round pick, and that's it. From what I can tell, they only have 2 picks right now in the 2022 draft because they traded all the other ones. They're all gone. The 2nd round pick to the Jets, the 3rd round pick to the Jaguars, the 4th round pick, the Jets again, the Texans, the Panthers again. Oh, no, sorry, the Panthers, never mind. I'm reading this chart wrong. The point is they have very few picks to work with, and they are a team in need of a rebuild and on the offensive side of the ball. All right? They are not ready to contend offensively in terms of available weapons. Sure, DJ Moore is a top-tier wide receiver, and Chuba Hubbard has been a great running back in terms of picking up the slack for Christian McCaffrey when healthy. And the defense is looking elite, but more needs to be done to make this a contending team. And that's especially starting at the quarterback position.
A rebuild?
I
don't think that. Have you seen that defense? Their defense is really good. Their offense is.
And where do they stand right now? And where do they stand?
Listen,
this team is mediocre,
and I think which is why I think it boils down to the quarterback play, right? They thought bringing in Cam Newton was going to be fixing the situation, and that's not the case. Hey, Mom, how you doing? And that's not the case. So that wasn't the best move. I mean, currently we've only seen 2 games from Cam Newton, obviously, right? So. With that being said, I'm not sure if rebuild is the correct word or the word I would have chosen to use. I do think that they need some other pieces to complete, but I don't think they're in rebuild mode at all, especially on that offensive side of the ball, because you alluded to, Moore is a phenomenal receiver. Robbie Anderson is still in his prime. He's still a speedster. I think and I said this before in the podcast, I think they're going to lament letting go of Dan Arnold, and they have. He was a very, very solid tight end. But you still have Christian McCaffrey, and now again Cam Newton. You add into the mix somebody like a Russell Wilson, and you mean to tell me they're not automatically a 10-win team? I can't see that happening. Darius, what do you think? Do you think that the Panthers should trade Christian McCaffrey and try to get some of those draft picks that Juan alluded to them not having?
Nah, they gotta get rid of their medical team. I mean, Christian McCaffrey's been banged up. Nah, I'm joking. I agree with Juan 100%. And I was kind of torn because CMC, right? This is a guy who put up 1,000 and 1,000, 1,000 receiving yards, 1,000 reception, rushing yards, and he was the front runner for MVP and injuries. And with running backs, it's kind of tricky because once they start to get injured, you're really not going to get the same product that you got when they came in the league and when they were fully healthy. And I think this is what's happening with Christian McCaffrey. I mean, you heard Juan say how many games he's missed, and you're giving this guy $16 million. You don't have any draft picks. So who's your most selling player that you can get draft picks for? And it has to be Christian McCaffrey. And Juan, I agree with Juan in a sense. They're not in a complete rebuild, but I do think they're still rebuilding their team because they don't have the most important piece, which is the quarterback. They thought Sam Darnold was going to be the guy. He went 3-0, led the league in rushing touchdowns for the first 3 weeks, and I know I was high on him. And then we see the decline. And then you bring in Cam Newton, who his first 2 games, his first game does good, and the second game, then he gets benched against Miami, and it's like you're going back to the same problem. You don't have a quarterback, so I think Christian McCaffrey, he's going to get you possibly a first. If not a first, definitely a second. A team that wants a running back, that wants a young running back, that he doesn't have to carry the load, that he can share the carry. I think that's also the problem. Christian McCaffrey's their whole offense. He's literally 100% of their offense. So, of course, he's going to get injured because he's playing 3 downs, sometimes 4 downs. He's always on the field, and these defenders are hitting him, right? They're hitting him. So it's like, of course, you're going to get hurt if you're not splitting the carries and you're just the only guy. And they have a solid run back in Chuba Hubbard. So I think once McCaffrey goes, you have a solid replacement. You can always draft a running back in the later rounds or bring in a running back in the free agency class. So I think the right thing for the Panthers to do, trade CMC this offseason, let teams know that he is on the trade block and see what you can get for him. See what you can get. Listen to the offers. You never know. It's teams that might bite. The Rams might mess around, trade a 2025 first-round pick if they even have one at this point, the way they be trading picks. So I'm definitely, if I'm the Panthers GM this offseason, I'm putting him on the trade block and I'm listening to offers. And if I hear something that I like, hey CMC, I'm sorry, man, you gotta go.
Listen, I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it at all. If my personal opinion, if I was in this position, I would say, hey, I'll give a call over to the Falcons and the Houston Texans. Let's do a 3-way trade, sending Christian McCaffrey to Atlanta, sending Deshaun Watson down to Carolina, and sending some of those picks back on over to Carolina as well. And to Houston, listen, I could see something like that happen, a 3-way trade. Deshaun Watson with Chuba Hubbard in the backfield.
You might be on to something.
Defense, that'd be pretty nice to see.
You might be on to something right there.
Coach, what are your thoughts, man? Do you think that the Panthers need to get rid of Christian McCaffrey? Do you think it's something else? Do you think that we're blowing this out of proportion, his injuries, right? Some people say, okay, he's been injured, but nothing's really been so catastrophic that it's affected his production as a running back, quote unquote, right? Hamstring, we know, is tricky. If it happens at all during the season, for any position, you kind of looking at it like, all right, you're probably going to struggle this season with that. Ankle injury, not too big of a deal. The AC joint, he's clearly bounced back from that. I mean, it doesn't look like anything's catastrophic like an ACL, PCL, Achilles, or anything like that. Do you think we're overblowing this as far as it goes for his injuries and him not being on the field, specifically the last 2 years?
So it just looks bad to me. It looks bad. I'm not going to say it is bad. And here's the reasons why. First off, when it comes to the injury history, we got to understand the guy barely missed time his first 4 to 5 years. He was on the field 99% to 98% of the time the last 3 years he was healthy. 98 to 99% of the time for a running back who blocks, catches passes out of the backfield, and not just out of the backfield with Christian McCaffrey, because he is a 2-time 1,000-yard receiving back. He goes out wide. And then he also runs the ball. And not just runs outside, but runs inside, outside, wherever he got to go. They have worked him to the bone, and I'm not surprised about the injuries. But when he is on the field, we already said it. 10 games, a little over 1,000 scrimmage yards. That's 100 yards a game, whether it be rushing or receiving. The guy is still one of the most productive, elusive, and best backs in the league when he's healthy. The issue is when he's healthy. I know Darius said this as a joke, but I'm calling it. I'm saying it now. Panthers, get a new medical squad. There's no reason why Patrick McCaffrey should be injured like this, period. And with Chuba Hubbard, use him. Use him as the backup. Do not make Christian McCaffrey be on the field for 99% of the time. 75, 70. Give Chuba Hubbard his opportunity to shine just as well. The same way Dalvin Cook was able to stay healthy for 15 games last year because of Alexander Mattison taking some of that burden. They have the tools in their backfield. By using both of those guys, you open it up a whole lot more now for Sam Darnold. And you can truly see what Sam Darnold has with the team around him. Because he looked good at the beginning of the year. He just had to keep up with it. And when they started having the injuries and it became just on him, we seen the Jets trip Sam Darnold. So, me personally, no, I would not trade him. But for every other reason, I understand why he should be.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think if I mean, just imagine if they were able to land Deshaun Watson without getting rid of Christian McCaffrey. They easily become one of the most dangerous offenses on the face of the planet, right? As far as the firing the medical staff, I mean, it's football, guys. Like, it's football. They can't do that much. Now, I will say this. I do believe that the team doctors, the head coaches, and Christian McCaffrey himself all should each equally get 2 slaps in their face for trying to come back that soon from the hamstring injury. Hamstrings are tricky. You must understand. You gotta take at least, I don't care who you are, depending on the grade, you need to take at least a month off. I'm sorry. Listen.
That and ankle sprains.
Period.
That
Yeah.
and high ankle sprains.
Okay. High ankle sprains, yes, and even that, I'm not 100% sure. But hamstring, no matter the grade, at least a month. I'm sorry. You got to give me 4 weeks. I'm not putting you back out there. I don't care. I just don't care, because that's just me. I've had my hamstrings messed up, and they're so tricky. They're so, because you can feel amazing. You're stretching again. You're like, oh, this is good. And you go and turn the wrong way, and pow, you're out another 3 weeks, as we're seeing with Christian McCaffrey. Right? So you don't want to do that. Let's see what we got in the comments. Exactly. Hamstrings are very, very tricky. Like, because here's the thing. You can wrap up a hamstring, sure, but you're definitely limiting how much you can move now. If you wrap up an ankle, there's not too much, there's not too much limited range of motion. Exactly. It's such a big muscle. There's not too much limited range of motion with an ankle, right? That's why I say high ankle sprain, it depends on the grade and your pain tolerance. I have a high ankle sprain. I miss 0 games, right? Literally 0 games, not one. But
yeah, it's just different for everybody. That's why I say high ankles, because that's just as tricky.
But a hamstring, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter who you are. Hamstrings are tricky. Get out of there. It's time to get out of this and talk about our last topic. And I just want to touch on this real quick, because I'm not going to give too much time to this guy, because I don't feel like it, and I'm tired of it. So I just want to get your thoughts. AB, Antonio Brown, what is you doing? What is you doing? Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know what I'm talking about, breaking news today. Antonio Brown has been suspended 3 games for violating the NFL's COVID-19 protocols. Earlier this year, if you remember, a newspaper in Tampa Bay, I believe it's the Tampa Bay Sun, reported that Antonio Brown had gotten a fake COVID vaccination card. Now, this again is a report coming from a former personal chef of his, so we don't know how true it is. As well as in the NFL's report, it does not state that he was suspended because they did verify that it was a fake one. Listen, all it was them saying that he violated the protocols. But, I mean, you could probably deduce and put 2 and 2 together and think, he probably had a fake vaccination card, which, again, is a felony. Darius, I mean, talk to me, man. I don't even know. I don't even have a question. I'm just upset. AB, what is you doing? You're muted, sir.
All right, my bad. When the story first came out and we talked about it, I said I want to wait till more news comes out, right? I said the what's going to happen is he's going to get suspended. What happened? He got suspended for 3 games. That's probably a fair amount of games. Some people argue it could be more. Some people argue it could be less. Whatever side of the fence you're on, he got suspended. And like I said, I'm gonna keep it sweet and short. This is just another thing to add on to his career. I mean, the off the field antics, the on the field antics. Despite all that, the guy's a great wide receiver. We can't deny his talent. But it's just these little things that he just does. I don't know if he does it for attention. I saw something today in Bleacher Report in the Patriots community. I'm going to leave off like this. They said, I don't know if he's doing this to get cut so he can play with the Patriots because they're winning now and they're a possible Super Bowl team. That was just a joke. But, yeah, man, I think the NFL handled it pretty well. Suspend him. And then just hopefully he learns from it and it continues to just, try to stay out of the media's trouble and stay off this podcast because I'm tired of talking about AB.
No, that's facts. Juan, very quickly so we can move on.
So first off, you quoting Drake is kind of funny because he was in a Drake video. It's not the right song, but still. And second, I'll just read this tweet, and that's my whole take on it. Antonio Brown refused to pay his personal chef the $10,000 he owed him, and ended up losing $547,000 at the end of it. Pay your workers.
Hashtag pay that man.
Goodness gracious. Coach, very quick.
I don't like AB. Please retire after this year. I'm sick of you.
Listen, I'm not even going to let you go any further. That's a mic drop situation right there. I don't like AB. Get out the league. I like it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Listen, now it's time for our last segment of the show. Well, somewhat. I mean, but yeah, you already know what it is. It's the Air It Out game picks. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, it's getting extremely tight in this race. Listen, Juan, he said, look, y'all thought it was over for me after going 4 and such for 2 weeks, back-to-back weeks. And Juan came out and simply smacked all of us in the head with 11 and 4 this week. Oh my goodness. Exactly, Jerome. Exactly. No more AB on this show.
I just want to say I wouldn't be there without Avery with the 3 dubs. Honestly, thank you so much. But I was honest in my picks, and I'll still be honest here. I was 1 and 2 on those Thanksgiving picks.
It is okay. Listen, I gave everybody 3 and 0 since we did not get a chance to actually do the Air It Out game picks for that time. So for our game picks, again, Juan went 11 and 4. I went 9 and 6, and Darren went 8 and 7, leaving Darius at 8 and 7 because he did not get his game picks in last week. He slacked on us, so he has to take the worst record. And it sucks because if you didn't, you would be right in the – I mean, you still are, but you potentially could have been in like –
don't worry, this week I got
the third place, man. You could have been like 32nd place. All right, so with that being said, overall totals, Darius at 99, 80, and 1. You just missed the 100 mark. 99, 80, and 1. In third place, Darren at 103, 77, and 1. Juan vaults back up into second place at 105, 75, and 1. And then myself at 109, 71, and 1. I'm going to start with you, Coach. Give me your game picks. One explanation. Let's make this quick. We don't want to go into another hour, okay?
All right, so real quick.
One explanation.
I got you. Watch this. So, Cowgirls versus the Saints is going to be the Saints. For the Bucks and the Falcons, it will be the Bucks. For the Cards and the Bears, we're going to go with the Cards here. Bengals and the Bulls. Bengals. Bengals. Vikings and the Lions. Vikings. Giants and the Finns. Finns. Eagles and the Jets. Jerome. This is not supposed to be a jinx. Y'all should have won last week. So I'm going to try this again. Eagles will win this week. Let's see. Good mojo. Colts and the Texans. Colts. Washington and Raiders. I'm going to go with Raiders, but I would not be surprised if Washington won at all. Rams versus the Jags. I'm going with the Rams on that one. 49ers and the Hawks. I'm going 49ers here. Broncos and the Chiefs. Good game. Very good game. Chiefs. Pats versus the Bills. Pats. And my last game. Yeah, reverse psychology. Hope they lose. And now, my game that I'm going to explain here. Ravens versus Steelers. I'll make it short, though. 1, the Ravens have one of the toughest schedules going from here on. From the Browns to the Steelers to the Browns again. Then you have the Steelers. You have the Packers. I'm sorry. You have the you have the Browns. You have the Packers. Then you have the Steelers again. Then the Bengals. Then the Rams. Like, that gauntlet of opponents are all over 500 is ridiculous. And the fact that ended off like that, But that's why this game is so important. We're number one right now in the AFC. The Ravens have a shot to be number one in the AFC again, with the Patriots right there behind us, a half a game back. This is a crucial game to really get us in there and really kickstart this team. Gotta just say that. Not wrapping it up. It is what it is, though. Hashtag 250. Even after 4 picks. Lamar, get your shit together, please.
Okay. All right. Darius, give me a game
All right,
pick.
I'm gonna make it quick. Cowboys Saints. This is a trap game. This is a trap game written all over it. I'm taking the Cowboys though. Buccaneers Falcons. Buccaneers, Cardinals, Bears, Kyler Murray coming back. I'm taking the Cards. Chargers, Bengals, another really underrated great game. I got the Bengals. Lions, Vikings. I think it's another trap game. I'm going to take the Vikings, though. Giants, Dolphins. Dolphins finished November undefeated. They're getting a groove back. I'm taking the Dolphins. Eagles, Jets, another trap game. I'm going to do it. I'm taking the Jets. I don't trust the Eagles. They lost last week. They should have won that game. I'm taking the Jets.
One explanation.
I'm sorry. Colts, Texans. Colts, Washington, Raiders. This is my explanation game. And I'll tell you why. Washington is getting hot at the right time. They're getting hot at the right. They're playing all around good football. And I think they're a half a game or 1 game back from the lead. Like, let's say if Dallas somehow lose, they're like a half a game back and they still have to play Washington. They're getting hot at the right time and everything is clicking for them. I just like Washington. I like how they're playing. I think they go in Las Vegas and just get a win. Jags, Rams. I'm taking the Rams. Ravens, Steelers. Ravens, 49ers, Seahawks, Broncos, Chiefs. I'm taking the 49ers, Seahawks. I'm taking the 49ers. Broncos, Chiefs, Patriots, Bills. Come on. I really gotta explain that. Patriots all day.
All right, real quick. This just in. According to Jeremy Fowler of ESPN, Antonio Brown is now vaccinated and did admit to wrongdoing to the league in the investigative process.
Here we go.
So, hey, listen, it is what it is. All right, Juan, quickly, let's get it.
I am home.
Hashtag unzip the hoodie. For tonight's game, I'm taking the Saints to beat the Cowgirls tonight. So putting my money where my mouth is on that one. Actually, leave it unzip. What am I doing? Make this quick. I'm taking Tampa. I'm taking Arizona. I'm taking Cincinnati. I'll put Detroit there because Detroit's got to win one at some point. So
Trap game.
This one is for Jerome.
It can't go on. I'll take Miami for the Eagles Jets game. The Jets never beat the Eagles in regular season ever. Until now, they're gonna win.
Let's go, baby.
I'm gonna take the Colts over Houston. I'm gonna take Vegas over Washington. I'm gonna take the Rams over Jacksonville. I'm gonna take the Ravens over the Steelers. I'm going to take the 49ers over Seattle. I'm going to take the Chiefs over Denver, and then I'm going to take Buffalo over the Patriots. But it's going to be a close one. And I have no explainer because I feel like there's just too much nuance in any of these games to really give a good, deep explanation about them.
I like it. I'm not mad at it at all. I like the upsets. Y'all know I love upsets. So, anytime you guys throw in upsets, I'm loving it. All right, so I'm going to get mine in because my computer is getting ready to die, and I don't want it to die on us. All right. Jerome, somebody, listen. It is what it is. All right, so Cowboys, Saints, Cowboys, Buccaneers, Falcons, Buccaneers, Falcons, Bucks, Cardinals, Bears, Cardinals, Chargers, Bengals, Vikings, Lions, Vikings, Giants, Dolphins, Eagles, Jets, Eagles, Colts, Texans, Colts, Washington versus the Raiders, Washington, Jaguars versus the Rams, Ravens versus the Steelers, Ravens, 49ers versus the Hawks, 49ers, Broncos versus the Chiefs, Patriots versus the Bills. I'm actually going to go with Darius here. I'm going to pick the Patriots, man. They're firing all cylinders.
Nah, don't pick us now.
I'm going to go with the Patriots. Listen, no hot takes today. I want you guys to enjoy Thursday night football. Go get to it. I appreciate all of you guys for jumping on. Listen, it's been a great show. Don't forget to listen to all of our interviews and all of our podcasts and all of those different things. Don't forget to check us out, www.insidethehashes.com, Facebook, Inside the Hashes, Instagram, Inside the Hashes, Twitter, All right, Inside Hashes, and don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification button on YouTube. For Juan, for Darius, and for Darren, my name is Avery Collins. This has been the Air It Out podcast. We're about to wrap it up and get on out of here. We out. Matt Ryan, stop patting the ball. We can't take it anymore. I'm so tired. Stop patting the ball. I can't.